Attention! They say there will come a day when humanity will wake up and find no sunlight, a day when the sky will turn to ash, the stars will stop shining, and the entire earth will be enveloped in a soul-shattering silence. On that day, millions will weep, others will cry out for mercy, and some, those who heard the Virgin Mary's message, will understand that everything was foretold. Brother, sister, stay with me until the end of this message, because what I am about to share with you is not a mere rumor. It is a prophecy repeated in different places, confirmed in Marian apparitions, and warned about by saints, mystics, and visionaries throughout the centuries. Today you will discover the mystery of the 3 days of darkness, and above all, the sign that can touch your life and prepare your heart before it is too late. Many speak of this event as if it were a legend. Others call it a tale meant to scare the faithful. But what if it were really about to happen? What if the signs were already before us and we refuse to see them? I want you to imagine something. You wake up one morning, draw the curtains, and you can't see the sunrise. The sky is completely black. It's not nighttime, but there's no sun either. The electricity stops working, the phones go silent, and the air is filled with a strange, almost unbearable smell. You go to the window and see nothing, only a dense darkness, as if the entire world were wrapped in an impenetrable veil. The scenario you just imagined has been described time and again by various prophets, saints, and visionaries, and they all agree on the same thing. There will be 3 full days without light, during which humanity will be tested like never before. But before revealing the reason for this darkness, you need to understand that this isn't simply a natural phenomenon. It's not an ordinary eclipse. It's not just any storm. It's a divine warning, an act of purification, a pause in the history of humanity for souls to confront what they've made of themselves. And here's where I want to ask you a question that no one can answer for you. What will remain of your life if this prophecy comes true tomorrow? Would you be ready? Would your family be under God's protection? Or would darkness find your empty heart? Friend, don't close this video, because what comes next can change the way you see your present. The Virgin Mary, in various apparitions, both officially recognized and not officially recognized by the Church, spoke of a time of great purification. Among these warnings arises the mystery of the 3 days of darkness. Saints, such as Padre Pio, Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, and mystics in Garabandal and Medjugorje agreed in describing an event in which the sky would darken and only blessed candles would illuminate the homes of the faithful. Can you feel the weight of these words? It's not a simple story. It's a message repeated throughout the centuries. And when a prophecy is repeated in different places, times, and people, it cannot be ignored. The question is not, will it happen? But when will it happen? It is said that in those days, whoever tries to leave their home and look into the darkness will not return. Voices will be heard imitating relatives, shouts in the streets, and temptations to open the door. But those who remain steadfast in prayer, shut in, trusting in divine protection, will be preserved. Do you realize what this means? It's not just a physical test, but a spiritual one. It will be the greatest battle between fear and faith. Now I want you to write in the comments, do you believe this prophecy is real? Have you ever dreamed or felt that darkness surrounded you? I want to read yours, because your words can shed light on someone who is searching for answers today. The first few minutes of this message have only opened the door to the mystery. What comes next is even more shocking. The details of how the darkness will manifest, what you should have in your home to protect yourself, and above all, the spiritual reason for this event. Brother, sister, stay tuned, because in the next part you'll discover why this event is not a simple punishment, but a purification that will mark the destiny of millions of souls. When we talk about the 3 days of darkness, many immediately think of natural disasters, solar flares, nuclear wars, or extreme weather events. And yes, some of these events could be the physical setting that allows for such an occurrence, but the Virgin Mary and several saints made it clear that this phenomenon goes far beyond the material. It is an act of divine mercy and at the same time, a warning for humanity. Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, for example, accurately described this event. A deep darkness will come, lasting 3 days and 3 nights. During this time, the air will be charged with pestilence, and all the enemies of the Church, visible and invisible, will perish throughout the land. Blessed candles will give light, but not ordinary ones. No spark of fire will ignite anything outside them. These words shake even the most skeptical. Imagine an entire world at a standstill, millions searching for answers, and the only light coming from a blessed flame. Coincidence? Superstition? No, my friend. Too many holy souls have repeated the same thing for it to be a mere myth. According to the stories, this darkness will not be like an ordinary night. It will be denser, colder, more oppressive. Some say it will be impossible to even see your own hand in front of your face. Others speak of a heavy silence, interrupted only by shouts and voices that will try to tempt the faithful to abandon prayer. And here's the most disturbing part. Those voices, according to the prophecies, will mimic loved ones. You may hear someone calling your name, pleading with you to open the door, but it won't be your son, your mother, your husband. It will be the enemy trying to deceive you. Can you imagine the anguish of hearing a child's cry outside and not being able to open the door because you know it's not real? That will be the true struggle. Resisting the temptation of fear and fully trusting in the promise of divine protection. The Virgin Mary never left her children without instructions. Through various apparitions and private revelations, 3 main warnings are repeated about these days. Spiritual preparation. It won't be enough to have candles or food. True preparation is in the heart. Our Lady asks for confession, daily prayer, the constant rosary, and acts of forgiveness and reconciliation. Ask yourself now, what outstanding accounts do you have with God? Protection of the home. The faithful are advised to remain inside their homes, with windows closed and crucifixes visible. Do not open the door. Do not look outside. The home will become a refuge of faith, like Noah's Ark during the flood. Ask yourself, is your home a place of prayer or of distraction? The test of faith, many will fall into despair. The darkness will not only be physical but also spiritual. Our Lady warned that in those days the fate of many souls will be decided. Those who trust in God and persevere in faith will emerge strengthened. Those who give in to fear will be trapped in confusion. Ask yourself, which side would you be on if the darkness began tonight? But not everything will be sudden. Various mystics affirm that there will be clear signs before the darkness arrives. The sky turned red, as if the sun were bleeding, causing auroras in places where they had never been seen before. Altered nature, thunderstorms, unusual earthquakes, restless animals, birds falling from the sky. The confusion in humanity, wars, rumors of wars, family divisions, loss of moral values. Friend, doesn't this sound familiar? Aren't we already seeing some of these signs around us? The world is divided, nature responds forcefully, and the sky displays omens that many try to explain with science, but that sensitive hearts recognize as warnings. In the midst of this anguish, the Virgin also revealed the means of protection, blessed candles. This is not superstition. It is a tangible sign that faith illuminates even the deepest darkness. Imagine the scene. The entire city silent, total darkness outside, and inside your home, a candle lit before an image of Our Lady, while you and your family pray the rosary with tears in your eyes. That contrast between the outer darkness and the inner light will be the clearest proof of who trusts in God and who doesn't. This is where I want to pause and speak to you directly. Do you already have a blessed candle in your home? Have you prepared your heart for a sunless night? Write in the comments with faith, Virgin Mary, cover me with your mantle. By doing so, you not only proclaim your trust in her, but you also inspire others to join you in this spiritual preparation. So far, we've seen the origin and nature of the darkness, the warnings and signs. But the most important thing is yet to come. Why would God allow this? Is it a punishment, a correction, or an opportunity for salvation? Brother, sister, do not stray, for in the next part we will reveal the true meaning of this purification and how each of us can find hope even in the darkest moment in history. The question many ask is this: why would God allow 3 such terrifying days of darkness? At first glance, it seems like a severe, almost unbearable punishment. But the Virgin Mary has always made it clear that behind every warning lies an act of mercy. God does not seek to destroy humankind, but to awaken it. And the 3 days of darkness would be, in essence, a global purification, a forced pause in the noise of the world, for each soul to look within itself. Think about this. When it's light, we see everything external. We're distracted by the world, by money, by appearances. But when absolute darkness comes, all that remains is the interior, your soul, your thoughts, your faith. That will be the purpose of those 3 days, to remove all distractions, all external voices, so that humanity hears only one voice, that of its conscience illuminated by God. Our Lady has said on several occasions that darkness is not the end, but rather a transition to a new beginning. It's like the night before dawn, the pain before birth. Many believers affirm that we are already experiencing a prelude to this event, and we only have to look around to realize that the signs are not so distant. Spiritual confusion. Never in history has there been such a mix of ideologies, philosophies, and false doctrines. Authentic faith seems to be diluted amidst so many voices. Question for you: do you know how to differentiate spiritual truth from lies? Moral darkness, divided families, increasing violence, disregard for life, loss of the sense of the sacred. This is the darkness already present in the hearts of many. Unexplained silences of nature, animals acting strangely, weather phenomena that science can't fully explain. Isn't this just a hint of what might be to come? Signs in the sky, strange lights, auroras in unusual places, moons tinged with red. Every sign seems to scream, "Get ready." Imagine those days. There will be no television, no social media, no newscasts to explain what's happening. There will be only silence and darkness. Many won't be able to bear that loneliness and will feel terror. But those who understand the meaning will know that it is a time of grace. 3 days to repent, 3 days to ask for forgiveness, 3 days to choose which side to be on. Can you see the contrast? While some will cry out in despair, others will pray with confidence. While some will curse, others will prostrate themselves in tears, begging for mercy. The prophecies also speak of a great deception that will attempt to confuse even the most faithful. During those days, familiar voices will be heard calling from outside, pleading for help. But the Virgin Mary warned, "Do not open the door. Do not listen to those voices." It will be the clearest representation of the spiritual battle. Will you believe what you see and hear, or will you believe what God has already warned you about? In the midst of so much confusion, the Virgin Mary appears as a safe refuge. She herself promised that those who take refuge under her mantle, praying the rosary and trusting in her intercession, will receive the necessary protection. Think about how powerful this is. The whole world is in darkness, but peace shines in your heart and home because you know you're not alone. That's the difference between those who have faith and those who don't. I want to extend an invitation to you right now. Write in the comments, "Virgin Mary, I trust in you." Don't just write it as a phrase, write it as a statement of faith. Because that comment can be the ray of light someone needs to read in the midst of their own darkness. And if you feel fear in your heart when thinking about this prophecy, leave it in the comments as well. Thousands of people will pray with you. No one is alone in this spiritual battle. It's not enough to hear the prophecy. We must apply it today. Light a candle every day when you pray. Let it not be just a tradition, but an act of faith that prepares your home. Consecrate your family to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, for that will be your refuge in the midst of trial. Live in reconciliation. Don't wait for the 3 days of darkness to forgive or ask for forgiveness. Do it now. Friend, what you sow today in your spiritual life will be what you reap in those days. And here comes a part that few mention. After the 3 days, a new light will come, a different dawn. Humanity will be transformed, and those who survive will bear witness to having undergone the greatest purification of all time. The Virgin Mary speaks not only of destruction, but also of victory, because after the darkest night, the brightest dawn always comes. So far, we've spoken of the signs, the spiritual meaning, and the practical preparation. But the most shocking part is still to come. What exactly will happen within those 3 days, minute by minute, and how heaven has already shown in dreams and visions what humanity will experience. Brother and sister, stay very attentive, because in the next part we will enter into the deepest revelations, those that few dare to share, and which could be the difference between falling into fear or remaining firm in faith. We have reached a key point. Up to this point, we have spoken about the spiritual meaning, the signs, practical preparation, and the promise of a dawn after the darkness. But many are wondering, what exactly will happen within those 3 days? What will it be like to live every hour of that event? What you will read now comes from private revelations, testimonies of mystics, and visions that, although not all have been officially recognized by the Church, are part of a single prophetic thread that has both disturbed and strengthened entire generations. According to the accounts, the first day will begin with a visible phenomenon in the sky. There will be a roar such as has never been heard before, and the firmament will be tinged with a deep red. The clouds will open as if torn by an invisible fire, and then, suddenly, the light of the sun will disappear. It won't be gradual like an eclipse. It will be abrupt, as if someone had turned off the switch of creation. At that moment, humanity will understand that something out of the ordinary is happening. Some will run to the streets, others will take refuge in their homes, but everyone will feel the same thing, a weight in the air, a sense of impending judgment. The faithful who are prepared will know what to do: close the doors, light the blessed candles, take up the rosary, and begin to pray without ceasing. The second day will be even more distressing. The silence outside will be interrupted by voices, cries, and wailing. Footsteps will be heard in the hallways, knocking on the doors, and even familiar voices knocking from outside. These will be tests to tempt believers to open the door. Testimonies warn that these manifestations will not be real, but rather deceptions intended to test faith. Opening a window, looking outside, or giving in to panic will be a fatal mistake. Many will fall into despair, fear will intensify, and it is there that prayer will become the only force capable of sustaining the soul. Those who persevere will feel a supernatural peace in the midst of the storm. Those who allow themselves to be overcome by terror will feel the darkness consume their interior. The third day will be the most decisive. The air will be laden with a strange, almost unbearable odor, and the sensation of death will be more intense. But at the same time, the faithful will begin to perceive a change. Prayer will be stronger, candlelight will shine more clearly, and the presence of the Virgin will be felt in many homes. It is said that those who sincerely invoke the holy name of Jesus and pray the rosary with an open heart will experience visible protection. The Virgin Mary will cover consecrated homes with her mantle, and no evil will be able to penetrate. Finally, after 3 days and 3 nights, the sunlight will return. The world will dawn differently. Many will have perished, but those who survived will bear witness to God's mercy and the triumph of faith. The messages coincide in 3 warnings that must not be forgotten. Do not leave home under any circumstances. Obedience will mean the difference between life and death. Don't look outside through the windows or be fooled by voices. The temptation will be great, but fidelity will be greater. Remain in continual prayer. This will not be a time for distraction, but rather a time for intercession for the whole world. These instructions are not superstitions. They are warnings that reflect a spiritual truth. God's protection acts on those who trust, but is weakened on those who doubt or trifle with their faith. In all her apparitions, Our Lady not only warns, she also consoles. She does not come to frighten, but to prepare. Her role is that of a mother who teaches her children to resist danger. Therefore, trusting in her intercession will be essential. Many testimonies assure that during the 3 days of darkness, there will be homes where the Virgin Mary will be seen holding the rosary, strengthening the faithful and protecting the innocent. It will be a reminder that darkness is never stronger than the light of Mary's maternal love. Brother, sister, I want to speak to you directly now. This message is not to sow fear. It is to awaken. Don't wait for the day to arrive to begin praying. Don't wait for darkness to fall upon the world to reconcile yourself with God. Today is the time to make eternal decisions. Write in the comments, Virgin Mary, protect us in the darkness. This phrase will be your public act of faith, and by doing so, you join thousands of others crying out for the same thing. Remember, every word of faith is like a light in the night. Close this section with a prayer that you can repeat at home with your loved ones, and that will be a spiritual refuge in any time of distress. Virgin Mary, Mother and Refuge, cover us under your mantle in the hour of trial. Let your light illuminate our souls when darkness falls upon the world. Deliver us from temptation, protect us from deception, strengthen our faith, and make us stand firm in your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. What we have seen here are the most direct revelations about what will happen in those days, but the most disturbing thing is yet to come. What will happen next? What world will dawn after the purification? What fate awaits those who survive and those who do not? In the next part, we will reveal how humanity will be transformed after the darkness and what true hope the Virgin Mary offers us for the times to come. After reviewing the warnings, the details of each day, and the Virgin Mary's instructions, it is time to look beyond. Because the prophecy of the 3 days of darkness does not end with the return of the sun. On the contrary, that dawn will mark a before and after in the history of humanity. The revelations describe that after the darkness, the air will be purer, nature will regain a different glow, and the earth will seem rejuvenated. It will be as if a veil has been lifted. Those who survive will feel that the world is not the same as they knew it. Many will see this as a new beginning, a time of grace in which faith will once again occupy the central place in the lives of peoples, but it will also be a time of responsibility. The survivors will bear the testimony of what they experienced on their shoulders and will have the mission of transmitting the truth of what happened to the new generations. The prophecies agree that these 3 days will mark a radical separation, those who remained faithful to God and resisted in prayer, and those who allowed themselves to be dragged down by fear or sin. Humanity will never be the same again. Families who persevered will see light in their homes, while many cities will be left in spiritual ruin. This contrast will be living proof that God's mercy and justice act simultaneously. Do you realize what this means? The 3 days of darkness are not just an isolated episode, but the beginning of a new spiritual order. Whoever survives will not be the same. If all this is true, then the most important question is not when it will happen, but how we are preparing for it today. Our Lady repeatedly insisted on 3 practices that should be part of our daily lives. Constant prayer, praying the rosary with devotion, not as mechanical repetition, but as a dialogue of love and trust. confession and reconciliation, cleansing the heart from the weight of sin, because only a soul in grace can withstand the test without losing peace. Consecration to her Immaculate Heart, entrusting one's life, family, and future to her maternal protection, which will be a safe refuge in the darkest moments. These practices are not optional recommendations. They are, according to the prophecies, the difference between despair and serenity when the day comes. Beyond the physical phenomenon, what truly matters is the inner dawn. Because the 3-day darkness is not just the absence of sunlight, it is a reflection of the spiritual darkness that already reigns in many hearts. Overcoming the test means that the light of Christ will shine within you brighter than ever. The dawn outside will be symbolic of the dawn of your own soul. That will be true triumph, not only surviving the phenomenon, but emerging from it renewed, strengthened, and converted. Those who live to tell what happened will witness a mystery that will change the course of history. Their words will have the power to awaken those who still remain spiritually asleep. And here's an important detail. Our Lady has said that even survivors will have to fight the disbelief of many. There will be those who will try to explain what happened with scientific or rational arguments. But true believers will know that it was an act of divine intervention. This means that witnesses will not only carry the memory, but also the mission of bearing witness. They will be beacons in the midst of a world that will try to return to routine, but will never be able to forget what happened. Brother and sister, this is not about passively waiting for darkness to come, it is about acting today. Every rosary prayed, every act of love, every sincere confession, every reconciliation with a loved one is a brick in the spiritual wall that will protect you when the day comes. Make your home a refuge of prayer, bless your candles, always keep a Bible open to the gospel, and above all, cultivate a peaceful heart. But there is something deeper here that few dare to mention. The 3 days of darkness are not the end of Marian prophecies. In fact, some visionaries claim that after this purification will come an even more decisive stage, a greater revelation that could change not only the spiritual course, but also the order of nations and world history. What will this revelation be? Some speak of the definitive triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, others mention a promised era of peace, and others warn that it will pave the way for greater apocalyptic events. The truth is that if humanity does not listen and change, purification will not be enough. Therefore, Our Lady insists that this is the time of preparation. So far, we have understood the magnitude of the 3 days of darkness and what will happen after them. But the next step remains to be revealed. What events will mark humanity after this purification? What promises will be fulfilled? And how a time will begin in which faith will be tested in even deeper ways? In the next part, we will delve into those mysteries that still remain veiled, Our Lady's warnings about humanity's immediate future and the mission each of us has in the midst of this spiritual battle. The 3 days of darkness are not the end of history, but a transition. Like a night that prepares for the dawn, this purification will open the door to a new time. But this new time will not necessarily be peaceful, because Marian prophecies speak of events that will profoundly mark the destiny of humanity. Throughout the apparitions, from Fatima to Medjugorje, through Garabandal and Akita, Our Lady has spoken of something that has not yet been fully revealed. Some call it the final secret. Others interpret it as the great warning that will precede the triumph of her Immaculate Heart. At Fatima, 3 secrets were revealed. 2 of them were eventually made public, but the third remained hidden for decades, generating debate, speculation, and silence within the Church itself. Many believe that what was officially revealed is only part of the story, that the most shocking part has yet to come to light. This pending mystery seems to be related to global purification, a radical change in humanity, and a spiritual battle that will reach unprecedented dimensions. After the 3 days of darkness, the world will never be the same. The survivors will experience a spiritual awakening, but at the same time, they will face new trials. An era of mass conversion. Many, having experienced the terror of darkness, will turn to God with fervor. There will be conversions, reconciliations, and a rebirth of faith in some parts of the world. Resistance and confusion. However, others will try to explain what happened with scientific reasons, downplaying the spiritual. They will say it was an atmospheric phenomenon, a consequence of the weather, a cosmic coincidence. These attempts at explanation will once again divide humanity, the beginning of a stronger spiritual battle. Our Lady has said that the enemy will not rest. After the purification, he will attempt to deceive in more subtle ways, introducing false doctrines, confusion in the church, and direct attacks on the faith. In 1973, in Akita, Japan, Our Lady warned that a punishment worse than the flood would come if humanity did not repent. She spoke of fire falling from the sky, of entire nations being annihilated, and of a church wounded from within. These words seem to resonate with the unfolding mystery. The 3 days of darkness might not be the end, but rather the beginning of a chain of larger events. Humanity would have an opportunity for conversion, but if it does not listen, what comes next will be even harder. In contrast, Our Lady also spoke of the triumph of her Immaculate Heart. This triumph is not merely a symbol, but a real event that will mark the world. It will be a time of peace, unity, and the victory of good over evil. But that triumph will not come without a struggle. Before peace, there will be purification, and before victory, there will be trials. Just as Christ's resurrection was preceded by the cross, Mary's triumph will be preceded by a great spiritual battle. So what will happen after the darkness? A smaller but stronger church. Many will fall, but those who remain steadfast will be a living testimony. Divided nations. Some will accept purification as a call to God. Others will reject it and harden their hearts. A time of radical decisions. There will no longer be room for lukewarmness. You are either with God or against Him. This scenario is not meant to cause fear, but to awaken, because each of us will have to decide which side to be on. Those who survive the darkness will witness something that cannot be hidden. Their mission will be to speak, to proclaim, to tell what they saw. And here's the most profound thing. Many of these witnesses will be simple, humble, unknown, but chosen to be bearers of light. Perhaps you yourself are one of them. Perhaps the fact that you are listening to this message is not a coincidence, but rather a preparation for a mission you are not yet aware of. Today, I want to invite you to take a step further. Don't just listen to this message as a spectator. Make it your own. Write it in your heart and share it with others. Leave a declaration of faith in the comments. Lord, here I am, ready for your will. This phrase will be your personal commitment to God and your response to this pending mystery. What comes after the 3 days of darkness and the global purification is something Our Lady has already hinted at in various apparitions, but which still remains obscure. It is a warning that some call the Great Warning. A moment in which every soul will see their conscience reflected before God as in a mirror. That revelation will be so powerful that no one will be able to escape it. And what happens in that moment will determine the final course of millions. In the next part, we'll discuss the Great Warning and how it directly connects to the 3 days of darkness, revealing God's plan to prepare humanity for the final events. After the 3 days of darkness, many believe everything will be over. But according to various Marian prophecies, what comes next could be even more shocking for humanity, the so-called Great Warning, also known as the illumination of conscience. This event has been described as a moment in which every person alive on earth will see their soul as God sees it. It will not be a final judgment, but rather a foretaste, an opportunity for radical conversion. And its purpose is clear: to prepare humanity for the definitive events that will mark the course of the world. Imagine that suddenly everything stops. Time seems to stand still, clocks stop ticking, and in that same instant, every human being experiences an inner vision of their own life. It won't be a dream or an illusion. It will be real, more real than anything experienced up to that point. Each person will see their sins, their omissions, their mistakes, but they will also see God's mercy and the harm their actions have caused others. Mystics describe this event as a painful but profoundly transformative experience. Painful because no one can hide the truth from themselves. Transformative because it will be a unique opportunity to repent and return to the path of faith. In the apparitions of Garabandal, Spain, the Virgin Mary spoke directly about this great warning. She said that a day would come when everyone, without exception, would experience an inner revelation that would reveal the state of their soul. One of the visionaries explained, "It will be as if the whole world stops, and at that moment each person will see their conscience, see the good and evil they have done, and understand what it means to stand before God." These words confirm that the Great Warning is not a simple metaphor, but a universal experience, destined to touch every heart, believer or not. Many wonder, why would the 3 days of darkness come, and then the Great Warning? The answer seems to lie in the plan of divine mercy. The darkness would be an external purification, a call to resist with faith and obedience. The Great Warning, on the other hand, will be an internal purification, a mirror that will force each soul to face the truth within itself. In this way, both events complement each other. One purifies the world, the other purifies the heart. The Great Warning will have a different effect on each person. Believers, those who already live in grace, will feel a deep consolation, as if God were confirming that they are on the right path. The lukewarm, those who doubt or live a superficial faith, will experience an inner shock that will lead them to decide which side to be on. Unbelievers, those who reject God, will not be able to deny what they see. Although some will resist, many will fall to their knees and ask for forgiveness. The most astonishing thing is that no one will be able to escape. Everyone, from the most powerful to the most humble, will go through the same experience. According to some accounts, before the Great Warning, there will be visible signs in the sky. They speak of a great light, similar to a dawn, that will envelop the earth, accompanied by a roar that will shake hearts. It will be like a flash of lightning that crosses the entire world. But it will not be destructive. It will be a call, a warning, and a preparation. Our Lady made it clear that the goal is not to destroy, but to save. The Great Warning will be a demonstration of God's mercy, a last opportunity before the most difficult events in human history arrive. Each person will emerge from this experience with a clear choice: to change their life and return to God, or to continue rejecting the truth. That decision will be crucial because it will determine what happens next. Preparation for the Great Warning is no different from preparation for the 3 days of darkness. Our Lady asks for 3 essential things: sincere prayer, especially the Rosary, which will be the cord that keeps us united to the light of Mary. True conversion. Words are not enough. Concrete steps are needed, such as confession and reconciliation with others. Absolute trust. Even if what we see in our own soul is painful, we must remember that God's mercy is greater than our sins. Today I want to ask you, are you ready to see your soul as God sees it? Are you ready to face your own truth without masks or excuses? Leave your answer in the comments. Write with faith, "Lord, prepare me for your light." That act of writing is a first step, a public declaration of your desire to be ready. The Great Warning will be a universal experience, but it won't be the end. According to the prophecies, after this event will come a great miracle, a visible and permanent sign that will confirm the truth of what has been revealed. That miracle will be so impressive that no one will be able to deny it. And yet, even then, there will be those who choose not to believe. In the next part, we will talk about this great miracle, what it will be like, where it will occur, and why it will forever mark the history of humanity. The great warning will be an inner experience, an illumination that will touch every conscience. But the Marian prophecies do not stop there. What follows, according to the testimonies of Garabandal and other apparitions, will be an extraordinary, visible and tangible event, the great miracle. The visionaries of Garabandal describe this event as a divine sign that will remain in the world forever, impossible to hide or deny. It will be a miracle visible at the sight of the apparitions, but its effects will extend to all of humanity. It is said to occur around a Thursday in a specific month, coinciding with the feast of a martyr of the Eucharist. The exact date has not been revealed, but the details are sufficient for many to be on spiritual alert. The great miracle will be so great that there will be no doubt that it comes from God. The sick will be healed, unbelievers will fall to their knees, and many will experience instant conversions. According to the accounts, the great miracle will leave a permanent mark on the holy place where it occurs. It will not be an illusion nor a passing effect, but an eternal sign that can be seen, touched and photographed, although it cannot be destroyed by any human force. The visionaries assured that this sign will be the greatest miracle performed by Jesus for the world. And it will not be destined for a few, but for all, because it will be a visible testimony to the truth of the Marian prophecies. The great miracle does not come alone, but as a confirmation of the great warning. After humanity experiences the illumination of conscience, this visible sign will come to confirm that what they experienced was real, that it was not a dream or a suggestion. Thus, God will show his mercy in two dimensions, inside, in the consciousness of each person, externally, in a sign that cannot be hidden. The effect of this event will be immense, physical healing. Many sick people will recover their health as proof of divine power. Conversion of unbelievers. Those who rejected the great warning will not be able to deny the miracle. Renewal of faith. The church, plagued by doubt and division, will find new impetus in this sign. But there will also be those who, even in the face of evidence, will choose not to believe. Because faith is not imposed, it is received freely. The Virgin Mary insists that the most important thing is not knowing the date, but being prepared in our hearts. The miracle will be a gift, but it will only transform those who receive it with faith. To prepare, she asks for the same things as always: constant prayer, frequent confession, sincere communion, and love for one's neighbor. These are the keys that will open the heart to God's miracle. The great miracle will not be the end of God's plan. After this sign, even more difficult times will come for humanity. Many believe it will be the moment when the hardest trials will be unleashed, in which the enemy will attempt to impose a world order contrary to faith. The miracle will be a light in the middle of that path, but it will not prevent the battle. It will be the confirmation that God is present, but also the sign that the spiritual struggle will reach its peak. Brother and sister, this message is not a fairy tale. It is a serious warning and an urgent call to conversion. What will you do if the great warning and the great miracle happen in your lifetime? Will you be ready to receive them with faith? Or will you let them pass as if they were a coincidence? Write in the comments, "I believe in the miracle of God." By doing so, you will be publicly proclaiming your faith and joining your voice with that of millions who await with hope the manifestation of the Virgin Mary. The 3 days of darkness, the great warning, and the great miracle are all part of the same plan of love and warning. But what many don't know is that after these manifestations will come the hardest part, the time of great trial, the spiritual battle that will divide the entire world and test even the chosen ones. That will be the moment when the true power of evil and the faithfulness of those who remain in God will be revealed. The Virgin Mary has already warned of what will happen, but few have listened closely. In the next video, we'll discover the warnings about that final stage, the Great Tribulation, the battle between light and darkness, and the destiny that awaits humanity before the final triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary.